How's it going, Jeremians? This here is the Yamaha PSR-E273, the successor to the Yamaha PSR-E263. This is also called the YPT-270 in different parts of the world. But is this keyboard worth $129 US? I'm gonna review this and we are gonna find out. My name is Jeremy C and I am a music teacher and musician for the past 26 years, and on this channel I have made more than 300 video reviews and tutorials on arranger keyboards and digital pianos. Subscribe and smash that notification bell icon if valuable content like this interests you. I'm not gonna bore you with an unboxing video. Instead, we're gonna very quickly go through what is in the box. You get a beautiful keyboard here, and in addition you get a music rest made of plastic out of the box, very solidly built, very little flex, and you can just fit it in like so. There is also a user manual in multiple languages that is in the box, and depending on where you live, an AC adapter may or may not be included. It was included for me, so I didn't have to pay extra for an AC adapter. The first thing my viewers are most interested in whenever I make a keyboard review is the piano voice. But before I let you have a listen to the default piano voice, let's have a look at the piano-centric features that are found on this keyboard. One of the things I love about the E263 is that portable grand piano button that you can default to the grand piano voice no matter what settings you're at, and I'm glad that this has been retained in the E273. On top of that, you have a panel sustain. If you do not have a sustain pedal, you can use this to simulate a sustain. Not the best solution, but it's better than nothing. In addition to the panel sustain, you also get a wide stereo mode. In fact, you get 3 different modes so that you can simulate a wider sound than you already have. There is also a sustain pedal input jack. If you want more granular control over your sustain, you can plug this into the sustain pedal input jack. So the piano voice you heard is pretty much what is in the previous PSR-E263 as well as the PSR-E363. However, it is not as expressive as it should be because the keys has a certain limitation, which I will talk about in a bit. If you want to learn how to play the songs with rhythm and chords like this, make sure you check out my online course in the description below. Let's look at the build quality of this PSR-E273. It is mainly made up of hard plastic, a lot of glossy bits, a bit of matte bit here as well. But I prefer this kind of speaker grill over the fabric speaker grill that we get on the PSR-E363. I wish the LCD is backlit because it can be a little bit hard to see without a backlighting, especially when light is low in the room. The volume knob has a nice quality feel to it. It moves pretty smoothly. This little jelly knobs does have a slightly premium feel, but it is quite a bit of a dust magnet as well. Even though this is made completely from plastic, there is a certain degree of quality feel to it. There isn't any flex even when I try to press it down pretty hard in the middle, and there isn't any much flex. A little bit here, but nothing that I would actually break off. The keys are pretty much glossy. I would have preferred a slightly less glossy keys, a bit more of a matte texture, and it applies to the black keys as well. They are pretty much that kind of glossy hard plastic. Unfortunately, the keys are not touch sensitive, which means that no matter how hard or how softly you hit the keys, it will not affect the volume or the dynamics of the instrument, which is not the best when it comes to expressing acoustic instrument. Let's listen to how quiet or how noisy the keys are. So it is not exactly the quietest, but it is definitely not very noisy, and I can definitely live with this quality of keys. I have seen better in this price range, and I will cover that when I do a comparison between Casio's Casiotone CTS200, which has very similar specs and has very similar price. Do subscribe if you haven't done so, so that you will not miss that video. On the PSR-E273, you get 401 voices that is divided into 10 different categories. As you can see here, you've got the piano, organ, guitar, and bass, etc. And there are 10 categories. This is actually one more voice than the previous PSR-E263. And the additional voice is actually a sound effects kit, which is necessary for use with this brand new quiz feature, which I will talk about later on in this video. You get a couple of effects that you can use with this keyboard, and you have a couple of different reverb effects, as well as the amount of reverb you can send to the voices and the accompaniment. In addition, you've also got a couple of different chorus effects that you can apply for a richer sound. Even though you got all these voices and all these effects that you can use to set up the sound the way you want it, one of the limiting features is that there is no way to store your registration setting on this keyboard. That means that each time you play a new song, you've got to do all your settings from scratch every single time. So this is a limitation you must keep in mind when you are looking to buy this keyboard. The sound quality for this $129 keyboard is nothing to shout about, but it's definitely decent. However, I was just disappointed that there isn't any real development in the sound quality from the previous models. It uses the same AWM sampling technology and keeps the same 32 notes of polyphony. There is still no way to split sounds on the keyboard or layer the voices according to the way you like it. However, Yamaha does give you 15 preset dual layer voices in this keyboard. The Yamaha PSR-E273 now comes with 143 styles, and these are actually 13 more styles than the outgoing PSR-E263, and this has been very cleverly categorized over here on the panel. You realize that on this model, Yamaha has done away with silkscreen printing of all the instruments and rhythms on the panel, which wasn't the most useful because this is a brand new user interface, which I will talk about in a minute. Each and every style on this keyboard comes with an intro and ending, 2 variations of the style, as well as 2 different fill-ins that you can use to liven up and jazz up your pieces. There are 3 brand new features on the Yamaha PSR-E263, and I'm going to talk about it right now. I really like the new user interface on the Yamaha PSR-E273. In fact, it is very logical. So these are color coded. If you are trying to select a style, if you press this, you would then go to the group that has the same color which is this little mustard color, to select the different categories of your style. And if you're trying to choose a voice, you press onto this blue color voice button, and then you would use these little categories that are in blue color. Once the category has been selected, you can actually use your plus and minus button to increment or decrement to the exact voice that you want. For example, if I want a violin, I will go to the string section, and then I would just use this plus and minus button to get to the strings that I want, which is a violin at 049. However, one of the niftiest features I found on this is that there is now a new numlock feature. If you hold this down and you look at the screen over here, numlock is activated. So if you want to choose a piano voice, which is, for example, in number 003, all these numbers now become a numeric keypad, and you can just punch in 003 and you get a harpsichord voice immediately. So you can do a quick number selection of the styles, the songs, and the voice, which is a very clever, smart, and intelligent way of using this user interface, and I really like this feature very much. Instead of the usual single-fingered and multi-finger mode that is found in Yamaha keyboards, now Yamaha has included just the multi-fingered mode as well as this smart chord mode. This was first seen in the Yamaha PSR-E273 Remy, which I reviewed sometime last year. What this does is that it no longer requires more than 2 fingers to produce a chord. In the previous models, if you wanted a major chord, you just have to press a single finger, which is really easy. However, if you wanted a minor chord, you still have to press 2 different fingers. With this new smart chord, what it does is that it will play the chords diatonically based on the key or scale that you've selected. So in the key of C, when you press this, this will appear as a C chord. And when you press a single note here, it will not be the D chord. Instead, it will end up as a D minor chord. And when you press this over here, because this is the 5th chord, it will appear as a G dominant 7 chord. And it's pretty intelligent in the fact that if you were to press the 7th note here, going by the diatonic scale, you should get a pretty complex chord here, which is called the B minor 7 flat 5 chord, all by pressing 1 single finger. However, this can be a little bit tricky to set up for those who are not familiar and who are just starting out, because you have to set up your key signature according to the song that you're gonna play. The other new feature on this keyboard is the quiz feature. So when you press this quiz feature, it will go into the quiz mode. There are 3 different levels that you can have for this quiz mode. If you have a look here, you've got auto mode, quiz level 1, 2, and 3 in different levels as well. There are 3 different modes. About the quiz feature, I kind of have my doubts about it. I have 2 young daughters, and even though this quiz feature did excite them with the internet, smartphones, and tablets, there are loads of musical apps which does this in a more interactive, exciting feature, and I feel that the quiz feature is not one of the reasons you would buy this keyboard. The Yamaha PSR-E273 comes with a very simple single track, 1 song recorder, and they have now decided to rename this as the phrase recorder, just like the PSS-A50 keyboard. However, you do get a lesson feature with about 112 songs, so this has been around for almost a decade, and I feel that this should have been updated or at least improved upon in 2020. One of the things I really love about this keyboard are the speakers. These speakers are really loud. In fact, at 2.5 watts of amplification each side, these are as powerful as the more expensive PSR-E363. Even when pushed to the maximum, there is no distortion whatsoever. On the rear panel, you get an aux in where you can plug in your mobile devices and stream your music from your phone or your tablet. You also get a headphones jack that you can also use to plug into an amplifier if you so desire, and this is the sustain pedal input port that I was talking about earlier. You can power this keyboard via the supplied DC power adapter. You can also power this via batteries, 6 AA batteries. I am disappointed that I am not able to power this via USB using a power bank or using your usual phone charger, just as those found on their PSS series, which can be powered with a USB power bank, which pretty much everyone has one of those these days. One thing that is a huge pity is that there is no USB MIDI port at all on this keyboard. It is such a shame for a keyboard of this price that does not have USB MIDI capability that will allow it to connect to an app, an external device, or even for a laptop for simple music production. At $129 this Yamaha PSR-E273 has no touch sensitive keys and does not have any MIDI capabilities, and therefore it doesn't scream a value buy. However, it is still a very decent keyboard with really nice sound and is something that any beginner will be happy with. Nonetheless, is the Casio Tone CTS200, which is $10 cheaper than this Yamaha PSR-E273, a better buy? Make sure you're subscribed and watch for that video because I will be doing a side-by-side comparison. I hope you found this review useful. My name is Jeremy C, and I'll see you in one of these next videos that YouTube thinks you are interested in.